According to some reports, Red Bull Racing has spent up to two-thirds of its development money. As a result, Mattia Binotto's comment concerning the budget cap might still be correct. Following the Miami Grand Prix, Ferrari's team chief stated that he believed Red Bull Racing would be unable to continue updating the car in this manner. In 2022, the Austrian team already came up with various improvements, while Ferrari continued to run with almost the same vehicle as during the winter test in Barcelona. Due to the funding constraint, Binotto believes Red Bull will be unable to continue upgrading. Binotto commented on Red Bull's spending. "They will soon have to stop developing, otherwise I will not understand how they are doing it with the budget cap." It was learned from Günther Steiner that top teams had about $10 million, about 9.5 million euros, available for improvements. There is no limit to how much you may develop, although not all of the 140 million can be spent on upgrades. Steiner anticipates that the capped spending will tighten up the pack as Formula One desires, making money less of a decisive factor and generating more opportunity for teams across the grid to improve their results, or on the other hand, fall. He said, "The big teams have still a lot of inertia from the days when they had a lot of money, and you cannot make that up in 1 year. I always said this is not a short-term fix, it is a medium-term fix. I think it will happen. Obviously, not everybody can win because it is not a single-make championship, but everybody should get closer together, and there should be a bigger fight for anything out there. Hopefully every year it swaps around who is having good results and who is having bad results. I think that will happen. But we need to be a little bit patient because it will not happen straight away because the big teams still have a big advantage. What I try to focus on is before they had 3 times the budget, which is an advantage of $200 to $300 million. Now, even if the big teams have an advantage, maybe it's 10 to 20 million. That has come together, so there must be some shifting because at some point they just cannot do more than the smaller teams. But it will take a little bit of time because of the inertia effect from the big teams from the good old days. With the updates that Red Bull has already provided, the medium states that there are already speculations circulating that Red Bull is only 75% of the $10 million target. Mercedes would even be over 10 million, making it impossible to release significant improvements after Barcelona. Ferrari has held back for the time being, and hence has a lot of margins. The issue is whether they will be as successful as Red Bull in producing upgrades. To estimate the level of development updates throughout the 2022 Formula One season, a unit of measurement is required. Günther Steiner, the head of the Haas team, provided a particular figure, $10 million. This is the average budget that the best teams will be able to invest in building single-seaters for the 2022 championship. We are talking about a significant treasure, even if it is only a small proportion of the budget limit of $140 million, plus bonuses granted gradually by the FIA. There is no regulation as to how the $140 million are spent, but the value can alter depending on the varied qualities of the individual clubs, and some say that no team can spend more than $10 million on renovations. The teams are keeping a close eye on each other, and given the price list that the FIA has defined in the financial regulation, it is not impossible to count the development expenses in the first 5 races of the season. According to some research, Red Bull has already exceeded 75% of those 10 million that we mentioned earlier, and Mercedes would have already exceeded this figure. So the package of updates that Mercedes will bring to Barcelona could be the most expensive in history. Ferrari, on the other hand, has so far maintained an F175 similar to the car that made its debut at Sakir, so it can now put a series of innovations, not just aerodynamics, on the table, which should allow it to get closer to Red Bull after it was clear in Imola and Miami that Red Bull can currently count on a faster car. And it will be critical that all of the new parts function for the Maranello team, since, given the financial constraints, no one can afford to waste money away. Red Bull Racing spent $200 million more than Marussia in 2013, simply to be 3 seconds faster on the track. For many years, the F1 paddock has been buzzing about budget caps. It was just recently implemented, yet we cannot ignore how much the large clubs benefited from their absence in the past. Red Bull was on top of the globe in 2013. They won their 4th consecutive Constructors' title that year, and Sebastian Vettel won his 4th consecutive Drivers' title. However, when compared to the worst clubs that year, the amount of money invested in this accomplishment was astounding. Marussia had the smallest budget that season. The Anglo-Russian team spent a total of $62 million that year and finished with no points. Caterham F1 team joined them at the bottom with 0 points. Red Bull, on the other hand, spent $289 million on car development in 2013, over $200 million more than the worst teams. As a result, it is no wonder that they suffered toward the tail end of the grid in comparison to these huge teams that had consistent success. F1 established the budget cap idea in 2021, which all teams were compelled to observe. It was $145 million last year, but it will be $140 million starting in 2022. Its introduction into the sport was intended to prevent the major teams from running away with all the success on the track. Because an F1 team's performance is dependent on R&D in the form of factory investment, traditionally, the biggest spending teams have been the most successful. However, if all teams had the same amount of money to spend, the field would be considerably tighter. The goal becomes to make the greatest use of the resources available to them. The budget cap, on the other hand, has caused additional issues. Drivers must be cautious not to crash during Grand Prix weekends because the replacement parts, chassis costs, are not covered by this budget. Some team principals, like Red Bull's Christian Horner and Haas's Günther Steiner, have urged for the budget ceiling to be more flexible. Whatever adjustments to the expenditure limits occur in the future, one thing is clear: teams like Red Bull and Ferrari can no longer afford to spend hundreds of millions of dollars more than their competitors in order to surpass them on the track. A slew of changes done by the Milton Keynes-based team during the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix has helped the team pull ahead of Ferrari, with Max Verstappen winning at both Imola and Miami. So far, Ferrari has refrained from delivering any substantial improvements to its F1, intending to bring its first round of enhancements to the next race in Spain. The Italian team believes that Red Bull's present edge is due to the team spending significantly more on development so far this year, which means it will likely hit its budget limit maximum much sooner. However, Red Bull has denied any claims that it has increased its spending and committed more resources than necessary towards early season development. Red Bull's racing manager, Helmut Marko, is adamant that his team's spending is in line with their rivals, and that its gains appear to be so significant because it is losing weight with each upgrade. When asked if Red Bull had put more down this year than Ferrari, Marko said, "I do not think so. We design our updates such that we always lose weight with each update, because we have not yet hit the minimal weight. We will not get there with the next version either. I don't think we are in a significantly different position to Ferrari in this regard, especially since I wonder what effect it has on them that Carlos Sainz has already crashed the car several times. That can't be cheap." Any reservations Red Bull had about the budget restriction, according to Marko, were about elements that affected all teams equally, such as the rise in freight costs. "It's true that the increased logistics costs are a problem," he said, "but that doesn't just affect us, it also affects Ferrari and all the other teams." Red Bull team head Christian Horner stated that he was aware of the budget cap and that the emphasis was on delivering improvements that provided the most bang for the money. "You've got to be very careful where you introduce your upgrades because of the budget cap restrictions this year," he said. "We've just got to make sure that we introduce something that is value for money." Do you think Red Bull has a chance in maneuvering its current financial situation? Is it a wise idea for the FIA to put a cap on team expenditure this season? Leave your views, questions, and thoughts in the comment section. Thank you for staying with me till the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and share the video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified when we add new videos in the future. Bye!